everyone, welcome back to math. Here's today's objective. Recognize that fractions can be used to name parts of a whole, parts of a set, points on a number line, or distances on a number line. We're going to start by talking about fractions on a number line. Take a look at the number line I have below. It goes from 0 to 1. What are we counting by? The numbers are larger than 0, but smaller than 1. Let's count the jumps to help us figure out what we're counting by. We're going to first figure out how many jumps there are. 1, 2, 3, 4. There are 4 spaces in between 0 and 1. Each of these would be a part out of 4 when we're jumping. So this would be 1 part out of 4, 2 parts out of 4, 3 parts out of 4, and 4 parts out of 4. So we call this fourths. When we're talking about parts out of 4, we call that fourths. This is the fraction for 1/4. I'm going to put it right here because this is my first part out of 4. When I go to the next one, now I'm at 2 parts out of 4. It looks like this. 2/4 is written 2 over 4. Then I go to the next jump. What do you think is going to go here? That's right, it's 3/4. That is my third jump out of 4. And then when I make that last jump, it's 4/4 or 1 whole section on the number line. So 4/4 is the same as 1 whole. It looks like this. If I were going to write it down, it would be 4 over 4. All right, let's move on. Now we're going to talk about fractional parts of a whole. I have one whole circle here, and part of it, this little section, is shaded in yellow. That yellow part is a fraction. I want to figure out what fraction of the whole is that. That little shaded yellow part would be what we call 1/4 of the whole circle. We have a numerator, that's the top number, that's the part being counted. What I'm counting right now is this yellow section, and there's 1 yellow section. That's my numerator, my top number, 1. The bottom number is what we call a denominator, and that is the whole or the total number of parts in the whole circle. You can see that if I were to draw in equal size pieces, just like the yellow one, I would have 1, 2, 3, 4 of those size pieces. That's how we get this denominator of 4. So if I want to consider the fraction of the whole circle, I would say that it is 1/4. 1/4 of this circle is yellow. One more thing about fractions. When we read them, we read the top number normally. So this is 1. I just read that as 1. When I want to read the bottom number of the fraction, the denominator, it usually has a TH added to its name. So instead of reading this as 1/4, I read it as 1/4 with a TH after it. Other words you'll see, we have 4th, 5th, 6th, 7th, and so on. Now I have a square here, and we want to figure out what part of the whole is each of these pieces. If we look here at this big chunk, I can see that this would be one piece. I'm going to go up here and get my pen. This would be one piece out of how many size pieces just like this fit into this square? 2. There are 2 of those size pieces. We have one here, and if we look really carefully, we can see another big one right here. So this piece all by itself would be 1/2 of my square. Let's take a look at the triangle. What do you think about this one? Well, we know it's one piece. I'm only counting this section. How many triangles of this size could I get into the whole entire square? I could get 1, 2. If I look carefully and divided it right here, I would have 3 and 4. So if I'm talking about just this little section, this would be one piece out of 4 in the square. So this is 1/4 of the square. What would this piece be? Yep, it's the same size as the one we just counted. So if I'm only talking about this piece, this is also 1/4 of my square. Let's take a look at this one. What fraction of this square is shaded? Again, look at the shaded piece and think about how many of those pieces would you get in the whole square. It is 1/4, or 1/4. Fractions can also show parts of sets. Let's consider this question. How much is 2/3 of 9 circles in a set? Remember before we talked about having a numerator and a denominator. This time they mean something a little bit different since we want to figure out a fraction of a whole entire set. When we think about the numerator, we're going to think about the number of groups right here that we're counting. And when we think about the denominator, that's going to represent the total number of groups that I need to make. So this fraction is 2/3. The top number says I'm going to be counting 2 groups. My bottom denominator tells me I need to make 3 groups. So back to the original question right here. How much is 2/3 out of 9 circles? Here's my 9 circles. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, and 9. I'm going to think about the denominator first. I need to make 3 equal size groups out of these circles. If I circle them up here, I can make one group of 3 here and one group of 3 here. Now I have 1, 2, 3 equal size groups. That's my bottom number, 3 groups. The top number is the number of groups I'm going to count. So my 2 tells me I want to count the circles in 2 of the groups. So I'm just going to circle 2 of the groups right here. How many circles are in those 2 groups? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and 6. So how much is 2/3 out of 9 circles? The answer would be 6. This time we want to know 1/4 of the 8 students in line were quiet. Here's my 8 students right here. How many students is that? I have 8 students in line. I want to look at the bottom of my fraction. It's a 4. So that means I'm going to put these students into 4 equal groups. If we put 2 students in each group, now you can see that we have 1, 2, 3, 4 equal size groups. I'm going to go back to my top number right here. That tells me I need to count up 1 group. Here it is right here. So I have 2 students in one of my groups out of 4. So this shows me that 1/4, 1 out of 4 groups, was quiet. So the answer to my question, thinking in terms of students, how many students is 1/4? It is 2. 2 students are in 1/4 of my class. 1/4 of my group of 8 is 2. Next one, how many dogs are 1/3 of the pack? Here's the pack. This time I want to look at my bottom number. It's a 3, so that means I need to make 3 equal groups. Here we go. I'm just going to look at them. We'll put those dogs in a group. Here's some dogs in a group. And here's some dogs in a group. Now I have 1, 2, 3 equal groups. I'm going to look at the top number. It tells me I'm counting the dogs in one of the groups right here. There are 1, 2, 3. So how many dogs are 1/3 of the pack? The answer would be 3 dogs. Next time you eat pizza, think about what fraction of that pizza you are eating. Have a great night, students.